Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Have you ever met or crossed paths with someone that you know for a fact wasn't human?
This was about 12 to 13 years ago now, and honestly, some of you may remember it, as I have posted it here before. There was this tiny little dive bar I used to stop into after work some nights for a beer or two. The place really was tiny, like the size of a walk-in closet, and had, I think, a bar big enough for maybe 5 stools. There was never more than one other patron and the bartender in the place when I was there, so it's no surprise the place closed down shortly after this story took place. The building stood derelict for years until being torn down a couple years ago. There's a low-income housing complex there now. Get out of work late one night. It's raining cats and dogs. Dead tired, but decided to stop into the little pub for one. Sure enough, only the bartender is there, a girl in her early 20s sitting behind the bar. I get a beer and make small talk about the rain outside. The bartender suddenly jumps out of her seat crying, "Holy shit," and looking past me. I turn to see a man standing in the entranceway. He was so unexpected he had frightened the bartender. See, this pub was located at the end of a dead-end street, and the windows by the bar shone down this street, allowing any approaching vehicles to be seen. None had approached. This dude must have walked here, which was also strange, as any foot traffic would also likely have been seen approaching under the many streetlights. He was average height and build, and I don't remember his clothing being remarkable in any way. But he was pale, sickly pale. He took a seat at the bar next to me, which sort of pissed me off, because I was on the end seat, and there were 4 more empty seats. I immediately noticed the stretch of this dude. It smelled like sweet decay. Sickly sweet and rotting, sort of. I could tell the bartender smelled it as well, from the look on her face. The guy ordered a drink and immediately turned to me. He looked ill, terminally ill, like a late-stage cancer patient. His eyes were dark and sunken, his cheekbones prominent, his face incredibly pale. His hair, I remember, was dark and appeared greasy. He looked exhausted. I could tell by the bartender's speech that she had not seen this man before. I remember her mentioning how she had not seen him approach down the road, and it's raining quite heavily for anyone to walk. He replied he didn't come from the road, but I cut through the woods some nights. The woods behind the bar were deep, very thick and brambly, lots of steep hills and very deep ravines. Those woods went on for probably 20 miles or more. He begins to ask me really strange questions like, "How big is your bedroom closet? Was your grandmother a strong person? How frail do you think a baby squirrel's spine is?" I was totally creeped out and disgusted. This man's presence and stench just enraged me. Suddenly I wanted to hurt him, even kill him. For some reason, that totally shocked me at the time. I began considering how to kill this man and get away with it. As I became more and more angry, he began to smile, like he was enjoying this. My anger was then replaced with a bottomless, almost existential dread. I'm not really sure why, but I did something that felt like the right thing to do in this situation. I started talking about things I love, things that make me happy. I mentioned how much I loved the first warm spring day after a long winter, the smell of a wood fire burning in a hearth, the smell of my grandpa's cigars that I still remember from when I was a kid. This man's demeanor changed. The smile was gone. Now he looked absolutely furious. He screamed at me, "Tell me about hate!" I refused. I told him more things and people I love, and I could see it was absolutely disgusting him. Finally, he stood up, spilling his drink in the process, and walked out. We never saw him leave down the road into town. I still don't know what that was, but it definitely was not human.
There was the night I was working at a gas station overnight that turned into a fucking Jonan Vasquez cartoon. Weeknight. Quiet Australian suburb. Around 2 a.m., which is when I should be mopping the floors and rotating pie stock. But I'm idling around and playing whatever shit I was into then, probably Fall of Troy or Genghis Tron or something. Late 2000s, so it's still a walk-in store with no night window. A mall goth kid walks in. Walks over to the slushie machine. Walks up to the counter. The slushie machine is broken. Yeah, it turns off overnight. I can turn it back on and it'll take about 20 minutes to get slushy again. Okay, I will wait. He goes and stands by the slushy machine. I turn it back on for him. He just stands there. A few minutes later, another mall goth dude walks in. He walks over to the slushy machine. It's just been turned on, the first tells the second. Whatever. They must know each other and wanted slushies. 10 minutes later, a big tradie guy walks in, goes over to the slushy machine. He just turned it back on. It shouldn't be long now. Ah, okay. I'll wait here, the tradie says. The three of them just mill around the slushy machine. Eventually, the red light turns off and the slushy machine is done slushing. They've just stood there the whole time. They each get a medium raspberry slushie at 2:30 a.m. in winter, pay individually. The mall goths walk off separately. The tradie gets in his ute and leaves. That was a fucking wacky job. Loads of mundane but unlikely stories. It fucked up my sleep schedule, right when I was 18 or 19, and there's no way I should have been given it.
Be in Louisville, Kentucky, waiting for my Greyhound bus at 2 a.m., stop at a bar and get shit-faced, wander around the city, get lost a couple times, make some conversation with the local homeless and drug addicts, try to enter a city bus station to charge my phone, but they won't let me in, go and chill by the bus stop outside, probably 3:30 a.m. at this point. I notice there's a dude just sitting there. Bald. Mid-30s. First thing I noticed were his hollow, soulless eyes. He says something to me, but he is making me feel really uncomfortable, so I give one-word responses. He's moving very erratically. Not like a drunk person would, or any person at that. I get so overcome with anxiety and dread from looking at this creature that I just book it towards the center of the city. I swear that guy was off. Never got that bad of a vibe from a person before. I don't know what his deal was.
There was this time I was at a gas station, just a regular day. I was the only one at a pump, but there were some people parked and inside, getting snacks or whatever. I saw inside that there was a lady at the counter, wearing a yellow sweater and a long black dress skirt. Looked in her 40s, I think. As I looked back away to the pump and to my car, I stood there for what must have been just 5 seconds at most. I look back at the store and that same lady in the yellow sweater is a foot away from my face, just smiling at me. I'm taken aback, and I must have been visibly since she cocked her head a bit but still didn't say anything. First words from her mouth were, "Are you saved, sir?" And I was still caught off guard, so I just said, "What?" Then she said, "I just want you to know, Jesus loves you." Then she smiled at me and started walking away. I started looking around to see if anyone else saw that, since I was weirded out. And then when I look again, she's back in the store, which weirds me out more. I was pretty damn far from the entrance to the gas station, and there was no ding from the door either time. And from the way she looked, I don't think she would have gotten to me so quickly, at least not without me noticing some middle-aged woman sprinting towards me. So what the hell? I've never considered that supernatural, but it's definitely off. She felt off.
Had a homeless person tell me the exact same thing with me once. When I read your story, I had to reply. I was pumping gas in a bad neighborhood one night in an army town, and a really tall black guy with an army duffel bag and all bundled up because it was cold, as shit was just suddenly right in front of my truck. He had the drawstring of his hood drawn so tight, it was in a little circle around his face. He asked me for money for a warm meal, and all I had was like 11 cents in pennies, which I gave him. He smiled and said it was more than he had. He thanked me, and as he was walking away, he tapped on the hood of my truck and said, "Hey, you know Jesus loves you, right?" It felt really strange and just sincere. Then he said, "Your name will be in the book of life." I was stunned. I was still processing what he said, and when I turned back to him, he was gone, like vanished. This came at a time when I was extremely depressed and felt like my life had no meaning. At a time when I was really struggling. There's a verse in the Bible that says many times, people have entertained angels without knowing it. I wholeheartedly believe I met an angel that night.
Now that you say it, I think I met one as well. Be me. 15 years old. School decides to organize a school trip to another country. They pick England. Better than nothing. In Brighton during early summer. One old man comes up to me and asks if I could give him £3 to buy a gift for his grandson. Seems pretty ashamed and sad. I don't have change, so I give him £10 or £20. He then smiles, the biggest and most sincere smile I've ever seen. Tells me about how nice I was. God bless you, you deserve it. He loves you, and so do I. Continues ranting about how I made his day. The moment he leaves, some friends come over and ask me who it was. When I look back, he's gone.
Heard this story from an old guy. I'll tell the story as the guy. Be 1977, I was 25. Live in an undeveloped village. There was no electricity at that time, so we used lanterns and torchlight at night. Our village's main income source was beetle leaf plants. One day, a farmer noticed footprints in the fields and some plants were missing. He quickly informed other farmers, including me. We decided to guard the fields at night. Back then, we didn't have many people. There were only 25 of us. We made some torches and started patrolling. In our village, night comes early. People don't stay up after 9 p.m. Anyways, nothing happened until midnight. We were doing our thing. Suddenly we heard someone screaming, so we started running towards the source. We found the screaming guy very quickly because he was running towards us. He was panicking and kept pointing his hand at the west. We were asking what happened, but he fainted. We took him to his home. The next morning I went to his house and asked what really happened. He replied with horror in his eyes. I was patrolling with my brother, and at some point I got separated from him because I wanted to cover more area. I walked deep into the field, and suddenly I heard someone walking. That noise was coming from the south. Slowly, I walked to the source and saw a human-like figure. I thought it was the thief, so I carefully got a bit closer to catch him. When I was like 9 feet away from it, it looked at me. I could see it clearly. He had 2 horns like a goat, and his eyes were blood red and it smelled like rotten fish. I couldn't look anymore, so I began to run. I didn't believe what he said. I thought he was probably seeing things. So the next day I went to patrol without him and the same thing happened. On the 3rd day I decided to visit the first guy. I went to his home and talked to him about the night before. I noticed he was very, very weak than the day before, and he had a strong fever. I told his wife that maybe fear caused the fever, then I left. We decided to stop patrolling for a few days. 1 week later, the first guy died, and then the next day the other guy died. Now everyone started to suspect that it wasn't any normal problem, because both of them died in the same way: fever, vomiting, and eyes bleeding before death. Everyone was scared, so we decided to completely stop patrolling. But the problem was getting bigger because people started to see the spirit, jinn, at their doorstep. Back then, toilets were built outside, so at night people had to go out and started to see it. 3 more people saw the same thing, and they died within a week. We decided to do something because if it continued, none of us would live. We called the Hujur, Muslim priest. He said he would try to do something. The next day he called us. He told us that he needed a glass bottle, a good cork, some red cloth, and someone with a strong mind. I decided to go because I still didn't believe it. We asked him where he would perform the exorcism. He replied that he wanted to do it near the mosque, just to be safe. Night fell. It was a full moon. The priest started the exorcism. He started to chant surah and kept repeating it. The sky was completely clear before we started, but when the priest started to chant, the weather changed very quickly. It was very windy, and rocks and sticks came flying at us, but the priest kept repeating. Suddenly, my nose caught the rotten smell of fish. I saw the demon. It was coming at the priest with rage and anger. As it got closer, the smell was getting stronger. The priest told me to give him the bottle. As I was handing it over, a rock came flying and almost hit the bottle, but it missed by an inch. It stopped right in front of us. I still remember the ugly face it had. The priest started to chant other surah and trap the jinn in the bottle. I didn't see it enter. Then he used the red cloth to bind it and told me to dig as deep as I could. I dug about 6 feet and placed the wrapped bottle. Then I covered it up. From that day on, it completely stopped, but the priest died 1 week after the exorcism. Sorry for the bad English. It's not my story, so I don't know how true it is, but it gave me chills when I heard it.
Saw an odd-looking woman while walking on the sidewalk back to my hotel at Paradise, a location high up at Mount Rainier National Park. It was dark out, maybe like 9:30 p.m., and I was walking on the sidewalk up back to the hotel. I noticed her probably like 50 feet away, and she seemed a bit blurry from that distance. As I got closer, details became clearer. She had this black, scraggly-looking hair that came down to her shoulders. She was super pale and had these big, opened eyes with black pupils in the middle, just like staring intently at nothing ahead of her. Kind of a longish, odd-looking face. I was looking at her as we passed, and she just stared forward with like a death stare. I'm not sure where she was walking to, but the sidewalk just kept going down adjacent to the road, kind of to nothing in particular. Weird thing too, I heard loud chains rattling on her as she walked away. Not like a wallet chain thing, but like shackles or something. It was really weird, and I was a bit freaked out getting back to the hotel. Didn't notice any chains on her. She didn't have a bag or backpack, I think. I wish I stopped and said something to her and got a better look, but it was pretty late and dark and nobody else was around. I was pretty spooked, gotta admit. This part, I'm not really sure if I was too spooked or whatever, but I thought I heard some faint whistling from kind of the side of the land to my left as I was walking back, not sure.
Be 18, just finished high school, have a break before starting college, grew up in a semi-rural area. Parents' house is on a long dirt road, a little way out of the closest town. 5 other houses on the same stretch of road, all on large properties. Know all the people who live in the other houses and their cars. End of the road leads to a clearing that overlooks the city. Nothing beyond the clearing, just a cliff. Used to drive out to the clearing with my girlfriend for picnics. One night, a bit after 9 p.m., getting ready to leave the clearing. Girlfriend is in the passenger seat. I walk around to the driver's side door. Get the feeling I'm being watched. Hairs standing up on the back of my neck. About 50 meters away, a truck is pulling into the clearing. Weird thing is, the truck didn't come from the direction of my parents' house. It came from the other way where there's nothing except a cliff. We were in the clearing for about 4 hours. Arrived during daylight. Never saw the truck before. Get a really bad feeling about the truck. It's black and nondescript. Looks like there's just one person in the driver's seat, but can't make out any face in the dark. Haven't seen the truck before. Doesn't belong to any of my neighbors. Girlfriend says, I think we should leave, don't have to tell me twice. Start the engine and take off on the road towards my parents' house. The truck follows us and starts tailgating. Speed up. Now doing well over 80 along the dirt road. The truck is literally right on my ass. Girlfriend panics. Calls 911. Keep going past my parents' house. We reach the sealed road. There are streetlights now. The truck has eased off. I look back and for the first time I can make out an extremely pale face. Has black eyes and something like a mouth but no nose. Long white fingers wrapped around the steering wheel. Looks kind of human, but not quite. We get closer to the town and start passing cars. The truck peels off. A police car meets us. Girlfriend explains what happened, and we give them the plate number. Police have no record of the plate. ILMAO.
I have a story. For some context, some years ago, I used to hang out with this guy. He is notoriously known for being a machine when it comes to fighting. There's hundreds of instances of him being outnumbered by groups of people, and he apparently never lost a single fight. Needless to say, he was the top dog in our crime-ridden town, and fearless when it came to confrontation. We were really good friends for a few years, and I'd never seen him afraid for all of that time until our encounter with something. The two of us were trekking through some wooded area at around 2 a.m. on our way back from a journey to pick up some weed. We were stone cold sober at this point, no skins. As we were walking down a long, steep hill, we could see a person approaching us pushing a bike. As we got closer, it appeared to me to be a young woman, mid-20s, kinda pretty, approaching us. My only thought initially was that it's kinda strange for a girl to be out this late in this area. But I didn't really care. Thought my friend might say something inappropriate to her as we passed or some shit. As we passed, he didn't say anything. I looked at him and he was pale and started walking faster and kept glancing behind him. As we got what he considered out of their hearing range, he started stuttering and saying, "Did you see that guy's face? It was mangled. He looked like a fucking monster." Now, that immediately set me on edge, because I've never seen this guy act like that before. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Look back, and all I can see is the silhouette stood still, just staring at us underneath a lamppost. His terror became mine, and we just booked it. Didn't stop running for about a mile. That's it from my perspective. Later that night, we exchanged what we'd seen. He said it looked like someone's face that had been extremely recently mauled by a large animal. We live in the UK, though, and he was extremely spooked when I told him that it just looked like some regular woman to me. Regardless, I'm not sure how to explain it. I thought he could have been screwing with me, but he was definitely in fight or flight mode. I've just classified it as freaky shit I'll never understand. Not the most exciting story, as it was from my perspective, but he definitely saw some shit that I didn't see. Spooky in hindsight.
Be a small child at my childhood home. Looking for my sister. Walk downstairs to the living room because I can hear the TV going. Feels chilly. This was summer and we were poor with no AC, so it should not have been. And the outside looked less bright, like it does when it's cloudy. My sister is nowhere to be seen, not responding to me calling her name. Hear the sink running in the upstairs bathroom. Decide she must be up there. Run up. The bathroom door is open, so I open it. Standing at the sink is a humanoid figure that I can only describe as having the appearance of meat, like pig-related. He didn't look skinless. The flesh didn't follow the patterns you'd expect from muscles. He just looked like he was made of meat. I'm standing there in shock. Then he turns around. Face is featureless except for two sickly yellow-green eyes. Finally snap out of my shock. Run downstairs crying. It is now bright and sunny outside, and as warm and humid as one would expect a house without AC to be. My sister is just casually sitting on the couch watching TV. She says she's just been watching TV the whole time. Comes with me upstairs. The meat man is gone. I have another story from this house if anyone's interested. The place always felt a little spooky. Same house. Have an old-ass TV with knobs that were hard to turn. Like, you know when you press into something so hard your skin smarts and it leaves a red mark? That's how hard you had to turn these knobs for them to move. One day, watching TV on it, the knobs start turning on their own. Utterly shit scared. Run to my sister again. She doesn't believe me. Tell her to watch. Suddenly a knob moves again. She shrieks. Eventually, the TV seems to stop. Later date, watching Willy Wonka on the same TV. The knobs start doing the thingy. Turns back to Willy Wonka, but it's glitched out. Doing that thing where a very brief bit of audio stutters while the video freezes. The audio is of them speaking, but somehow the way it's stuttering makes it sound like a screech. At the same time, the screen is stuck on a frame, so it looks like one of the characters has some glitchy dark void for a face. The TV shuts itself off. We never used that TV again. Sadly, that's the only other proper story I have of that house.
Be at Walmart for some snacks or something. Some military-dressed person approaches me, strikes up a conversation. Dude seems nice enough. Eventually, he asks if I've ever been interested in joining the service. I let him know about my type 1 diabetes and how I can't, because they won't let me. He lets me know that if I tried hard enough and made a big enough fuss, I could get a desk job. I thank him for the conversation and we split paths. Now what's strange about this encounter is, I'm at that Walmart almost every day when this happened. I work there. And even when I'm not working, I'm stopping by to get candy or soda, or to just bum cigs off coworkers and hang out in the outside break area for shits and giggles. Now you're thinking, what's that have to do with anything? Well, that's because the guy said he's in there almost every day trying to recruit for the military. But that just ain't true. First time I ever saw the guy, and the last time I did as well. Hell, I went to the bathroom and when I came back out, I didn't see him again. Sure, he could have left right after our conversation, but that doesn't explain how he's there every day. And I've never seen him. And even coworkers didn't know what I was talking about when I asked them. TLDR. Pretty sure I ran into a lost spirit stuck in our dimension refusing to move on, or the dude wasn't human at all. Not currently or before.
When I was a kid, there was an elderly woman who lived near me. She was 3 feet 8 inches tall, in her late 80s, and most likely schizophrenic. I remember she would walk a mile to go to the public library to use their phone so she could call the police about the raccoons that stole my glasses right off my face while wearing her glasses. One time, she walked past my house at about 1:30 a.m., and I could hear her yelling, Yep, this is happening. It's happening right now." And she took a shit in my front yard under a tree. Probably not human, but definitely subhuman.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.